Tonight's reading comes from Matthew chapter 19, verses 13 and 14. Then little children were being brought to him, in order that he might lay his hands on them and pray. The disciples spoke sternly to those who brought them, but Jesus said, "Let the children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of heaven belongs." This Bible verse shows Jesus' compassion for and the belief in children, which went against the grain of how most adults viewed children at that time as lesser beings or nuisances. Jesus shows his disciples that children have a place in God's kingdom and that they deserve to be prayed for. Good evening. My name is Ryan Chaffee. I have been a member of Good Shepherd since the mid-90s. Since I was in middle school, my family started attending. And I attended as a youth and spent a lot of time there. And then I went off to college, started a family, and then my wife and I have circled back around to joining the church as our own family. My wife and I were married at Good Shepherd. All three of my children were baptized in Good Shepherd. So we have a long history with Good Shepherd. And tonight I've been asked to give a temple talk of sorts, or a Lenten sermon, on our preschool, which all three of my children at one point or another have attended. It's funny how big the world is, but can truly feel very small, especially at times like these. But I'm here to talk about preschool and other small things, and that would be the students that attend the preschool, our small children who we place in the loving hands of these preschool teachers and administrators. When I was asked to give this temple talk, I immediately felt very old that I would even know that much about the preschool, that I'm a senior member of the preschool. And I thought to myself, am I qualified for this? And unfortunately, in a way, the answer is yes. My family and I have been attending the preschool in one form or another for 5 years now. And we will be attending for 3 more years. We have 3 children, and our oldest spent 4 years. He's off at kindergarten now, and our youngest, unfortunately, I guess, just finished her first year with the preschool. So we'll be there for 3 more years. And then we have a middle son who's going to be in the forest class next year. When I took this 5 years of experience with the preschool, I immediately tried to think of the best memories we've had with the preschool, and all of them kind of fit into one nice, neat little category, and that would be family. The preschool feels like family to me. So I decided to create an acronym, not only to help me organize my thoughts, but to help make things easier for you guys to remember. So the acronym that I came up with is BEST. This stands for Bonds, Extended Family, Stability, and Trust. When I think of bonds that my children have formed at the preschool, I immediately think back to last year when my oldest son Aiden was in the forest class, and I was working from home, so I was taking him a lot to preschool, and I would watch him walk in every day. He was there 5 days a week, and he'd walk in with his friends, and they would just kind of act like they owned the place. Like, they get to go and they get to go to the left, whereas most of the rest of the kids are to the right. And he knew where everything is, and he knew all the teachers, and he would say hi to everybody, and his friends were always joking as they went in, where other kids, looked a little bit more timid. They're younger and unsure about themselves. And I thought to myself, these guys are like seniors. They're acting like seniors. This is wild. And then when I got back into my car, I thought, wait a minute, these guys are seniors. They are the seniors of the preschool. They have been here for 4 years, many of them all together. And for a 5-year-old, that is 90% of your life. And these bonds that my son Aiden has created with some of his closest friends have lasted now, even while he's off in kindergarten, and none of, unfortunately, his classmates who were in preschool with him go to his current school. But he still has play dates with his preschool friends. He sees them at birthday parties. He hangs out with them at church. He has formed these incredible bonds with these kids that I know are very special to him, and then are therefore very special to me. When we first started attending the preschool, it was amazing for me to see how many families whose parents or one or two of the parents were actually there as children like me. They're in their youth, and here they are as adult parents now, and they're returning as well to bring their kids to the preschool. And I know for a fact that a lot of these families, the Good Shepherd Lutheran Preschool is not the closest preschool to them, but they make the effort, they make the commute to drive past numerous preschools, I'm sure, to bring their kids to Good Shepherd Lutheran, because that means so much to them and the history with that church. And so I think that speaks volumes for the preschool, that these families are willing to, not just on Sundays, but every day of the week, come all the way back over and bring their kids here. And it just makes me feel like the preschool is part of an extended family, that I've known these people for so long, and here they are still coming back, wanting to be a part of the preschool. As many of you know, families provide stability, and the preschool is no different. An interesting side note, my first job outside of my own home and chores and things like that was actually volunteering for the church, and I would come in on Saturdays and I would break down or rearrange the preschool classroom and set up the Sunday school classrooms. And then on Sundays after church, I would come back and replace everything and put it back. And that was actually my first job. I had a responsibility. I did it on a volunteer basis, but, I consider it my first job. And that was, my first experiences being even in that hallway. I guess, I attended things like Sunday school there as a child, but I spent a lot of time in that hallway. And I just have such great memories. That hallway really has not changed much over the years, at least compared to the rest of the church, which has seen drastic changes over the years. The preschool wing still feels very similar to me, and I really adore that. The mural that is still there between the two classrooms on that one wall across from the bathrooms is still there. And I remember when that was being painted and, took part in that. So the familiarity with the preschool wing and the stability that wing has provided me in general as a parent makes me feel really well. And I see my kids now making memories in that wing, whether it is in preschool or at church on Sundays, that I just hope that someday they can return as adults and get the same experience that I've had. Finally, one of my biggest compliments that I can give the preschool is that I trust them with my children. I trust that when they say, your 1-year-old will stop crying when you leave, I trust that my children will not spend the entire day in tears. Every single one of my 3 kids started off, when we would drop them off on their first few weeks of preschool, they would cry. But lo and behold, when we would leave, they would settle down. And all of them, by the time that the year was over, they were running in the door. They couldn't wait to be there. They wouldn't want to come home. It's just a testament that by the time I was dropping off my youngest, Tessa, I was just dropping her off and saying, here, I know you're going to be fine. The crying doesn't bother me because I trust the people that I'm putting you in their hands. Or I trust that when the preschool says, oh, let us know when your child is starting to potty train, that they're going to take it as seriously as my wife and I do, and that they will help us potty train our children. That's a huge amount of trust to put in someone. I also trust that when they say, we will get your child ready for kindergarten, that I don't have to stress about, is Aiden going to be behind when he enters kindergarten? Is he going to be, right on average? Actually, it turns out he's going to be ahead because he spent a year in the forest class with Miss Julia. So I think it is just a true compliment to the preschool that I trust them with my children. I will leave you all with this one final note, which would not have been possible a couple weeks ago, but unfortunately is our current reality. And that is the fact that in having to socially distance ourselves away, and the preschool closing and us being at home, it is obvious to us how much preschool was important to not only my children, but also to, my entire family. Our middle son, Nolan, who was attending a 3-day week threes class, truly misses his classmates, his class, learning from his teacher. He would much rather be at preschool these days than stuck at home with us, essentially on this eternal weekend he's having. He truly misses his preschool, and I feel like that is a huge compliment to the preschool. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. If nothing else, remember that Good Shepherd Lutheran preschool is the best preschool around, in my opinion. If you ever have additional questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my abilities. Have a wonderful night, and God bless.